Great afternoon, everyone. My name is Lamont Gwynn. I am your host, and welcome to Conquering Through the Crisis, because I believe why cope when you can conquer. Happy Friday to you. We've made it to another Friday, and what a week it's been. We've had some great guests, but let me tell you, today's guest is right there with everyone else. A really good guest today. Her name is Trish Murphy. She is the CEO of Marketing Smarty Pants. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Trish to the show.
Thanks, Lamont. I appreciate the invite. Thanks for letting me crash your party.
No crash at all. You know, what I really appreciate and what everyone needs to know about Trish is the person who gave me the belief that I could move to Orlando. Trish was my very first headshot client in Orlando. She purchased my most expensive package. I was at a networking event and we just connected afterwards. And I was like, wait a minute. If getting business like this is this good in Orlando, this is where I'm moving. So I am blaming you, Trish, for being here, but thank you so much. I really appreciate it. So let's just jump right in. Our theme for our show today is positive feelings produce incredible results. And one of the things dealing with the crisis that we're dealing with today, positive feelings are for some really hard to come by. And Trish, in our conversation, one of the things you mentioned was the fact that you've had some challenges getting to getting to the point of being in a positive mindset. But before we get into that, can you just tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, a little bit about your origin story?
Wow. Okay. So Trish Murphy, the Marketing Smarty Pants, my business, and my specialty is social media marketing for small businesses. So I work with small businesses, and we know that in this crisis, small businesses were hit really hard. Um, and so I wasn't really quite sure what to expect with that, and we'll get into that a little bit more. But I'm also a veteran. I'm a Florida veteran or native, so I was born and raised right here. I have 4 kids. I'm the chairman for the Florida Association of Veteran-Owned Businesses for our Orlando chapter right here in the area. So I'm really involved in local community and getting out in the business world and meeting small business owners. That's my niche. That's who I hang out with. So I understand their pain and what they're experiencing right now, and I'm also dealing with the effects of that.
Now, I've had the opportunity to sit with one of your clients, and he just raved about how you've been able to take marketing and really help him build his marketing, and build his client base based on what you do for marketers. Because we know for companies, because we know there are a lot of people claiming to be marketing professionals, but from what he described, you really have a system that you put in place for folks to help them with their marketing. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So kind of one of the things that makes me different is, when we talk in regards to marketing, we hear conversations and we're involved in conversations that really revolve around in the tactics of marketing, right? So I'm going to go back to my military days. There really are 2 very distinct parts of marketing. You have your strategy and you have your tactics. Tactics really is the execution. And that tends to be the majority of the conversations that we have. And, there's tactics is important. There's a lot of value to tactics. But if we skip past strategy, all the tactics in the world don't do you any good. So
Mm.
the real war plan, the game plan starts on the strategy part of it. Any military operation, all you really see is the tactics. That's the videos we see and the guys out there and blowing stuff up and the execution. It is the strategy where the game is truly won and lost in a lot of ways. So I start at the strategy regardless of how big my client is. I want to understand who they are, their target market is, what makes them shine, what makes them different. And then I start with a strategy. It may not be an elaborate strategy, but every one of my clients have a strategy. And then we move over to the tactics, which is the execution part of marketing.
One thing I really appreciate about you, Trish, is the fact that you've had some people come to you and you've worked with them, or you've spoken to them. You've had that initial conversation with them, and you kind of realize, wait a minute, I may not be a good fit for you. Maybe you need to see so and so. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Sure. I mean, I've had a few people who are like, they talk to me about what their goals are and what they want. And then from there, I understand, okay, maybe that's not the wheelhouse that I play in most of the time. So maybe someone else would be a better fit. Maybe search engine optimization is what's best for them, which is something I do now as an add-on service. But perhaps that particular client was really wanting to move products on Amazon. I don't do that, but I know people who do. So I have no problem, analyzing the situation, having a conversation with a business owner, and pointing them in the right direction. And the reason why I do that is after I have a conversation with someone, they're going to have an opinion about me, and they're going to talk about that conversation they had with me. And if I left them better than I found them, then they're going to have a good conversation. They're going to have a positive feeling, and they're going to have good things to say about me on the other side. And that's my philosophy.
I love that because I can resonate with that because even as a photographer, oftentimes people will come to me and they'll say, well, do you do real estate? I said, well, I don't do, there's certain types of photography that I don't do. But when I know photographers in that field, I definitely recommend them. So let's switch a little bit and talk about how you've been personally affected. What with this, with COVID-19, with everything that's going on. I know that you started to use at the beginning of the year, much like me, things started to look really promising, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, this hit. And can you talk a little bit about how it hit, and how you were able to get through that?
Um, so yeah, at the beginning of the year, I really was on this target, restructuring my business, setting some real goals, places, for my own personal finances where I needed to be. I was on pace to do that by the end of March, or at least by the end of April, this upward trajectory. And then COVID-19 rolled out, arrived here in the United States, and um, it it really has affected small businesses. It was a big sucker punch to small businesses, and that is my clientele. It affected every single one of my businesses, but it affected them differently. So
Mhm.
some of them just simply couldn't pay. It just wasn't, their business dried up immediately,
Mhm.
and it hit their finances quickly. And when you have clients call you upset and crying and worried about how they're going to pay you, what do? Um, you work with them, and so instantly in March, I think it was March, maybe it was April. Uh, I, April. It was an instant. I lost 30% of the amount of money that I can pull out of my business, dropped by 30%. So that's a significant drop in income,
It is.
like right away.
Yeah.
So with that, I didn't know what May was going to look like. So is that going to continue? What's going to happen? This is early April. Nobody knew what was going to happen at that time. So everybody's afraid. Markets are dipping, and everybody's panicking about things, and the state's getting shut down, and folks just don't know what they can do. Hair salons can't open up. Restaurants can barely open up, and even the ones that many of them closed because they knew that curbside there just wasn't going to be the volume of clientele for them to even stay open. So
Right.
a lot of uncertainty. Not sure what was going to happen. So that was my April.
And then also, so that was what happened. And then in our conversation, you were telling me how, when that uncertainty hit you, you did something, and then you moved your mentality in a different way. You shifted your mentality. Can you talk about that?
Right. So knowing that landscape, that was happening in April, I let myself worry about it for a little bit, and then I decided to remain positive. Well, at the same time, so I lost that money, but at the same time, I had other clients come in who were doing fine and increase or needed additional services or increase their service. So at the same time, I got a call from my landlord saying, "Hey, we're not going to renew your lease at the end of July." I was like, "Okay, it is what it is. I mean, the owner needs to move back in. It was nothing, no fault of mine. It just is what it is."
Hmm.
She got hit pretty hard, so she needs to move back into this location. So that's nerve wracking, and that nobody, I don't have thousands of dollars sitting around now as a result of COVID-19. I've had to use my reservoirs in order to live. So I don't have thousands of dollars sitting around in order to pivot and move out in a couple of months. I don't have it right now. Doesn't mean I won't in a few months, right? So I got that call. So a part of what made me stressed about it is it wasn't the decision I made. I didn't get to make a decision. I'm moving or I'm staying. It was made for me. So there's some anxiety that can come along with that, right? So I was, kicking myself in the pants and down about it. And I said, you know what? Just like I did before, earlier in the month, when I let myself be nervous and upset about it for a little while, and then decided to be positive. So when I got that call, I just decided that evening, okay, I'm gonna have my pity party tonight. I'm gonna be nervous and sad and worry for tonight, and then tomorrow I'm gonna wake up and I say, you know what? The universe made this decision for me. I'm just gonna trust the universe to provide a solution, provide necessities. And the very next day, I had a phone call with one of my clients, and they ended up increasing their services by $300 a month because things changed for their business actually in a good way. So instantly, solutions are coming now. And now that things are starting to open back up, there's so many additional possibilities. I got a new, project client that happened earlier in the week. Several new leads are coming in that are going to more than make up the gap. And I'm just going to continue to trust that that's going to happen and everything's going to be fine. Additionally, I happen to love the neighborhood I live in. I love it. I don't want to move. There's 3 places available within 1 block of where I live. I could literally walk my stuff to one of the other locations and stay right in the same neighborhood. My kids can play with their same friends, and so there are solutions coming my way right now for that. I don't have to worry about it. It's going to happen.
I love that. I love that. So there are a couple things that you said that really are so important. I think the first one is acknowledging your feelings and allowing yourself that time to, you know, like you said, have a pity party. If you feel that anxiety, to allow those feelings to happen, but then to give yourself a cutoff point and say, you know what? I'm going to stop it now, and I'm just going to switch. I'm going to transition my mindset to one of positivity. I'm going to move in because just like you said, you've always been taken care of up until this point, right?
Right,
So
right,
then that's what really amazes me. Oftentimes, we look at a situation or crisis and we think, oh my goodness, what's going to happen? But we've always made it up till this point. And I know
right.
the crisis that I've had in my life, from homelessness to drug addiction, all of those things, and I've made it past those things. But what's helped me to do that is just what you did, having that pity party, allowing yourself to feel those feelings, but then getting up the next day with a positive mindset and moving forward. And so even with what you said, it produces incredible things. You have houses available not far from where you live at, or in the same neighborhood that you live at. You have new clients or clients that are on the horizon. So I appreciate the fact that you took the time to allow yourself to have the feelings and then move forward. how is this told? How has this been with? And I know you're a mom, so how have you coped with this from the mom perspective?
I'm actually having a good time. So a couple of things I did. Um, so a lot of folks may not realize, but I actually homeschooled my kids for 13 years.
Okay.
Graduated my older two. They're done, and then my younger two. This is actually their second year that they've been enrolled in a private school. That particular private school is a hybrid, so they really only have classes 2 days a week. Same way college is set up. You have class a couple days a week, and the rest of it, you're doing your work. So my kids love that setup, but they also love the fact that they don't have to get up a couple days a week. And so this has been kind of old hat for us. We're just like, oh, okay, we're just homeschooling again, and no big deal. But at this point, they don't really even need my help with anything. They just admitted, they're 14 and 16 now, and it's like, just get your stuff done, and if you get stuck, let me know. I'll help you out. And you know, my youngest, he fishes half the time and gets his schoolwork done whenever he needs to, and he's got that handled. And but to handle potential anxiety, for myself or for them. So I have this big chalkboard in my kitchen, and on there, when this first started, I wrote on the chalkboard, things to do during the apocalypse. And then I just put a couple of things on there, hiking and fishing and swimming, and then I numbered it 1 through 20, and I just left it. And this is something I do often with my kids. Is I'll write on the chalkboard and a question or a mantra or a quote, and then leave it, and they always make edits. Always make edits, right? So it's this little game we play. And so I made the list and I left. And I mean, you'll see it on my Facebook feed, but instantly within an hour, there was edits where somebody added, inserted zombie or zombie apocalypse. And, there's all these really funny things to do, some serious and some joking, some not, like pet a fan spur. I'm not going to do that, but so all these things, listen to, wash the car, or listen to, audio tapes or a movie night, make a blanket for, those types of things. Some really things we're not going to do, but it helped us know that, listen, if we get bored or we feel like we're stuck, there's plenty to do here, together, apart. And it just gave us something that we could work through any of our anxiety, and created kind of a unity between us as we acknowledge this new situation and the emotions along with it, and it gave us something to do together, and collaborate on.
I love it. I love it. Just so happy that you were able to. I've been around you and your kids before, so I know that there's always that connection anyway. But it's really good that you've already had something in place to kind of engage them, to kind of keep that family unit strong in these tough times. And it's so interesting that you've been doing this since you've been raising your kids. So this is just like a bump in the road, and I just love how you're able to continue to move forward. So
Yeah.
what's next for you? What do you see on your horizon?
Um, that's a great question, and I have an answer for it. So, couple of things. One of the things that resonated with me throughout this is kind of a Facebook post that I saw somebody share, and I took that and I shared it too, and it was a good point because I caught myself saying that, and what I had initially been saying when this crisis is we're all in the same boat, but we're not actually. We're not all in the same boat, but we are in the same storm, right? So my
Mm-hmm.
boat's going to look different than your boat. Some people's boat was totally devastated and crashed on the rocks. For other people, they actually made money in
Mm-hmm.
this. They're still working, and they got stimulus money, and they just made $2,200. They're probably they could be making less. Some people, their biggest problem is boredom, and other folks, they don't, they cannot feed their family.
Mm-hmm.
So it looks differently for each person. Some folks lost a family member. Some folks are very ill. So same storm, different boat for each one of us. But so in that, we can be empathetic with one another and know that our experience in the same storm is very different. And so just extend kindness and understanding that it's not the same for each one of us. You yourself was sick.
Mm-hmm.
You experienced it. Very different storm for you, but same environment, different experience. But from that, I'm evaluating what parts of normal am I going back to? What parts of pre-COVID life am I going back to? And they're running around in the rat race and having all the meetings. I'm not going back to that. I'm not. I'll go out one day a week. So my office is right here in the house. It always has been. I get so much done here. I've had so much time to think and get clarity on things for my business and my life. And I go on a 4-mile walk almost every day. And I think if I have a problem I have to work through, I'll go for a walk. And I just throw some earbuds in and listen to my music, and I walk till I have that figured out. And sometimes it's 2 miles, it's mostly 4 or 5. But I get to the bottom of things and I shut everything out and I make those decisions. I was able to restructure my entire business on, how I execute client work on a 4-mile walk. So within an hour and a half, I knew the solution to handling 20 clients without having to hand any of it off to someone else. And that changed my entire business. And I'm not going back to the rat race. I know that I am a better person if I'm able to spend that time thinking. So Zoom meetings are going to be much, much bigger. It's going to be incorporated regularly. Now that everybody is accustomed to that, it's accepted now, right? It's a part of our culture, and it's accepted. So I'm going to utilize that technology to enhance that time. But my time is going to be my time, and I'm not going back to a rat race. I'll leave the office 1 day a week for meetings, and that's it.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Gaining perspective, even in crisis, is so important. We can concentrate on so much of what's going wrong that oftentimes we don't fix or can't fix what's already broken, things that we needed to fix in anyway. So,
Right.
this time has given us a chance to do that. I know for me, this show came to me last week,
Wow.
and I started moving right away. What's interesting is pre-COVID-19, I would have dotted all my T's, crossed all my I's. I would have created this big plan. I would have taken time and said, this is something that I'm going to do. I would not have jumped right into it. But one of the things that I've come to realize in this crisis is oftentimes we try to wait for a better time for things to happen, to do things. Well, I'll get to it when. And I just realized that it's no better time than the present to
Right.
just move. And I'm just to be able to have this conversation with you, and to have had 4 guests already on this show, to have 4 guests already scheduled for next week. And, I'm just really appreciative of the fact that, even in this crisis, I've been able to pivot in a way that I am I can help other people. And I think that that's what this show is about. I can help other people in a way that I would not have been able to help them pre-COVID-19. So
Right.
I just love that. Thank you so much
You're welcome.
for that perspective. Now, before we close out the show, I do a little thing where I ask my guests check-in questions. So I
Okay.
want to check in with you to see how you're doing. And these are 5 questions that I think everyone should do every single day. And if I can just get to it, let's see here.
I hope they're not hard questions.
No, they're not.
I didn't study.
Okay, no, very easy questions. The
Okay.
first question is, Trish, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling good. Feeling positive. I'm feeling positive.
Beautiful. Tell me, Trish, what's not working?
What's not working? My sales process.
Mm,
Um, we'll qualify. It's not working optimally. So that's one of the things I'm working on in my business. So another thing I've learned in this is I'm taking 10 to 15 minutes every day and I'm working on my business, not in my business, on my business. And that's one of those things I'm working on. Some days it's just 10 or 15 minutes. Some days I get inspiration and have the time and I work on it longer, but at least 10 or 15 minutes every day. So my big chunk is clearly defining my sales process and working through the collateral and making that better. So, and I know that once I have that in place, then it's gonna increase my confidence in seeking out leads and sending and just going through that whole sales process. So there's a level of confidence in selling when you have that clearly defined and you feel really good about it.
awesome. So tell me, what's working?
What's working? I'm working. I restructuring the schedule of my day. So I've created. So one of the things I fixed is one of the things I fixed was the structure of my day. So I have broke it up to where I spend 3 hours a day on one client, and in one day I can plan, create, and execute social media content for an entire month for one client. So I work on one client a day. That's it.
Mm,
Um, I also have time allotted for some pop-up work. So if there's anything a client like, I need this out, or can you fix this, or oh my goodness, this happened. And there's been a lot of that with COVID-19. So changing and their content and pivoting, helping them pivot, right? So I'm doing extra. I've done a lot of extra work for clients because they need it, right? I'm not charging
mm,
them extra for it. We're all in the same storm, so they can't afford more right now, but they need it. I can't debate them. So yeah, restructuring my day in how I execute client work and what I work on. That's working.
beautiful, beautiful. Trish, what do you need?
What do I need? Lunch. I need lunch.
I do too. I
I'm
do
getting
too.
hungry.
What are you proud of?
um,
Oh, no, you want
so
to go
let me
back to that?
qualify the need. Yeah,
Okay.
I need 20. I need to be at 20 clients. That's what I need.
Okay. Okay. Awesome. What are you proud of?
I am proud that I'm eating healthier, higher quality food, getting up at a reasonable hour, and going to bed at a reasonable hour.
Oh, beautiful.
My adulting game is strong right now.
Beautiful. Beautiful. And the last question is, what can you let go of?
The would have, could have, and should have.
Mm,
All of that is I'm letting go of all of that.
beautiful. Trish, I want to thank you so much for your insight today. I appreciate you as a friend and I wish you all the best. I know we'll be working together in the future and I just appreciate you and thank you for coming on the show. For my audience, this has been a great week. Please tune in on Monday. On Monday, I'll be right back. And what I'll do on every Monday is I'll be doing the lead ups for the week for each show. So you'll know on Monday what the topics are, who the guests are, so you know which ones you want to tune into. And hopefully you'll see that you want to tune in every day at 12 noon. So again, my name is Lamont Gwynn, Conquering Through the Crisis. And I'll close out the show like I do every show. Trish, and to my audience, make it a great day.
Thanks.
Beautiful.